Hello again guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we'll be carrying out another top 100 landing challenge attempt. And as Asobo have just released the Japan expansion pack for Microsoft Flight Simulator, I thought we'd have a go at one of the Japanese landing challenges. Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed the video guys. Now let's jump into the cockpit of the 320 and begin our landing attempt. So here we are in the land of the rising sun. Rather ironically watching a beautiful sunset out to the west. The lighting really showing off the cockpit of the default A320. Anyway, I digress, we have an airport to land at, so we'll start a gentle left turn now, round onto final for the runway. So we find ourselves today at Hachijojima Island, in the default A320 once again. They've actually just updated the flight model somewhat for the default A320 I believe. And it does actually fly a little bit nicer now than it did before. Still quite heavy in pitch, but the roll feels a bit more natural. The auto trim feels a little bit more responsive, although still a bit slower than the real aircraft. Unfortunately though, with the landing you still have the weird lack of aileron authority and the wing drop issue on short final. Anyway, we'll bring the speed back to 150 knots now. Once again during this approach I've been trying to figure out the best way to land the default A320. For this particular approach I decided to use flaps full and an approach speed of 150 knots. And as you'll see momentarily we'll make a really shallow approach to the runway. And then we'll just pull up at the last moment for the flare, coming off the power at the last minute. The reason for the shallow approach, it was just the best way that I could get the aircraft to land without dropping a wing. So unfortunately not the most realistic approach you'll ever see, but that was what was required to get a decent score in this challenge.
1,000.
Really important with this challenge to make sure you're as nicely lined up with the runway as possible. You don't want to be putting in any last minute aileron input or you'll find that the wing will drop. So as you can see, just very small corrections to keep ourselves lined up on the centre line. And a very low approach, 4 reds on the pappies.
400.
Really aiming for the threshold rather than the touchdown zone.
300.
And we'll just scrape over the top of these trees.
100.
The aircraft already almost in the flare attitude.
600.
Coming back on the power now.
20.
Just checking back on the stick for the flare.
Retard.
Holding the aircraft off.
5.
There's touchdown. Full reverse. Trying to keep the aircraft on the centre line. 70 knots, cancelling the reverse and manual braking to bring the aircraft to a stop. So there you go, that landing was good enough for 1.36 million points, which at the time of recording was good enough for the number 2 spot. As you can see, a lot of room for improvement on the ground roll portion of the scoring. Although I have to say, looking at the video, I don't think that I actually deviated from the centre line all that much. It was really tempting to continue the challenge until I got the number 1 spot. I do think that was achievable. However, I couldn't face flying the default A320 anymore. I'd had more than enough at that point. So the number 2 spot was good enough for me. I do hope you enjoyed the video guys. If you did, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. If you have any comments or questions for me, please leave them down in the comments section below and I'll do my best to answer them. But for now, thanks very much and I'll see you all again soon.